The twin sons of Arcturus beat down on the dusty garage at the edge of the spaceport, where Rowan wiped grease from his hands and squinted at the peculiar vehicle hovering before him. It wasn't quite a motorcycle, at least not by Earth standards, but it had two wheels, a saddle, and an engine that hummed with the kind of attitude only a bike could possess. The owner, a 7-foot-tall Crithian with iridescent blue scales and 4 arms, gestured frantically at the machine. 3 cycles I have taken this to certified repair stations, the alien hissed, his translator crackling. 3 times they have said it is fixed. 3 times it has failed within 1 solar rotation. Rowan nodded slowly, circling the bike. And you came to a human mechanic because, the Crithian said, lowering his voice as if sharing a secret. I have heard stories. They say humans can fix anything, that your species has an unnatural relationship with machines. From inside the garage, Georgia emerged with 2 cold drinks, her coveralls stained with the rainbow shimmer of exotic lubricants. Don't let him fool you, she called out. Rowan just talks to machines like they're people. Half the galaxy thinks he's crazy. The other half knows I'm right, Rowan muttered, kneeling beside the bike. He placed his hand on the chassis, feeling the vibrations. The metal was warm, almost feverish. What's her name? The Crithian's membranous eyebrows raised. Her? It is a vehicle. It has a model designation. 15-7749-. No. Rowan interrupted, standing up. See, that's your first problem. You've been treating her like a piece of equipment. These bikes, they've got personality. They're temperamental. You can't just plug in a diagnostic and expect her to tell you what's wrong. Georgia handed him a drink and smirked at the bewildered alien. Here we go. Rowan took a sip and walked around the bike again, this time more slowly. He noticed the scorch marks near the exhaust manifold, the slightly loose connection on the anti-grav stabilizer, the way the handlebars tilted just a fraction of a degree to the left. But more than that, he noticed the energy of the machine, the way it seemed to sulk in the afternoon heat. You're certified mechanics, Rowan said. They replaced the plasma coil, right? The Crithian nodded all 4 of his heads in sequence. Yes, top-quality Zenthary components. And before that, they recalibrated the thrust balance. Correct. And the first time, they performed a complete system diagnostic and found nothing wrong. Rowan laughed, a short, sharp bark of amusement. Of course they didn't. Because nothing is wrong. Not technically. He crouched down and tapped the fuel intake valve. See this? This is a Mark IV intake, designed for high-altitude racing on low-gravity worlds. But your exhaust system is a Mark II, built for endurance runs in thick atmospheres. They don't hate each other, but they don't play nice either. Georgia leaned against the garage door, arms crossed, a knowing smile on her face. She'd seen this performance 100 times, on 100 different worlds, with 100 different species. And it never got old. But the specifications, the Crithian began. The specifications say they're compatible, Rowan interrupted. And they are, technically. But compatibility isn't the same as harmony. You've got 2 systems that are constantly fighting for dominance, and every time a mechanic comes in and fixes something, they're just giving one side more ammunition. The alien scales rippled with confusion. I do not understand. How can machines fight? Rowan stood and grabbed his toolkit from George's outstretched hand. Because machines aren't just metal and circuits. They're systems, and systems develop preferences, habits. Every time you fire up this engine, it learns. Every time you take a corner, it remembers. And when you put incompatible components together, they start compensating for each other in ways that aren't in any manual. He popped open the engine casing and started working, his hands moving with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd been born with a wrench in his grip. Georgia watched, occasionally passing him tools before he asked for them. Their partnership so smooth it seemed choreographed. The Zenthary coil they installed is too powerful, Rowan continued, his voice slightly muffled as he leaned into the engine. It's overfeeding the Mark II exhaust, which is throttling back to compensate, which makes the intake think it needs to pull harder, which stresses the coil. It's a vicious cycle. But how is this fixed? The Crithian asked, leaning in to watch. Do you replace all components with matching marks? Nope. Rowan emerged, holding a small, outdated-looking regulator. I'm going to install this ancient piece of junk that I scavenged from a wreck 3 years ago. It's going to sit between your fancy new coil and your stubborn exhaust and basically tell them both to calm down and compromise. Georgia chuckled. It's called a mediator valve. Hasn't been manufactured in 20 years because modern systems are supposed to be smart enough to figure it out themselves. But they're not, Rowan said, installing the valve with practiced ease. Because being smart and playing well with others are two different things. Humans learned that a long time ago. 20 minutes later, Rowan sealed the engine casing and stepped back. Fire her up. The Crithian mounted the bike nervously, his multiple hands finding the controls. When he activated the ignition, the engine purred, a deep, contented sound that hadn't been there before. The bike lifted smoothly off the ground, hovering with perfect stability. The alien's eyes widened. It sounds different. She sounds happy, Rowan corrected. Take her for a spin around the port. If anything feels off, come back. The Crithian didn't come back for 3 hours. When he finally returned, all 4 of his arms were gesturing excitedly. Incredible. Perfect. She handles like she is new. No, better than new. How much do I owe you? Rowan quoted a price that made Georgia raise an eyebrow. It was less than half what the certified shops had charged. That is all. The Crithian seemed almost offended. For this miracle? It wasn't a miracle, Rowan said, accepting the payment crystal. It was just understanding. Your fancy mechanics knew the theory, knew the specs, knew the procedures. But they didn't know her. He patted the bike's frame affectionately. Treat her well. Don't let anyone mess with her unless they're willing to listen to what she needs. As the Crithian rode off into the evening, Georgia bumped Rowan's shoulder with her own. You know word's going to spread, right? We're going to have a line of aliens around the block tomorrow. Rowan grinned, watching the bike disappear into the traffic lanes above the spaceport. Good. Galaxies full of machines that just need someone to understand them. Might as well be us. The best mechanic in the galaxy, Georgia teased. Just the most stubborn, Rowan replied. Machines and I speak the same language. We're both too ornery to quit.